was that? Who was that? That was Eminem talking about being empty without
Mhm.
me.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Sorry, my
You feel
bad.
so
My
empty
bad.
without her. We'll bring her
Oh,
in.
no,
Okay.
We'll bring her in when she arrives.
Okay.
Okay. Stream is active. We
awesome.
out here.
People are
We out
coming
here in
in.
these streets.
Welcome. All right, people are coming in. Sima, you're not supposed to be in the audience. You're supposed to be out here now.
Well, she's there at least.
Check
Good.
your
That's
email.
good.
Check your email.
She's in the audience. All right, I gotta find our stream here. There we go. There's the
I
stream.
can't see the chat, so
Okay, I got the chat up here. I got it on a separate window on my other monitor, Margaret. So we got Sima, we got Simone, Kathy, Adaris, Jason, Jane, Kathy, Sarah. Welcome, you guys. Thank you guys for being in here. Sarah, welcome. We'll get started here in just a bit.
The chat.
Yeah, guys, feel free to, as we're having our conversation, if you have something you want to share or something you want to contribute, a question you want to ask, feel free to just put them in the chat. We are waiting for our fourth guest here. Let's see if Sima will join us. Sima, check your email. Click that link and you'll be in.
in like Flint.
Yes, these are all my favorite people, actually. I'm so glad that this is happening.
Yeah, this is wonderful. I appreciate being with you guys. I just need the boost, like the energy boost sometimes. I'll do my morning ones and it's so nice to chat with the people in the morning, but then it's nice to talk to you guys too. And
You mean to tell me you didn't eat your Wheaties today?
yeah, no, I had a hard-boiled egg. That's what I have for breakfast. I can no longer eat Wheaties. They make me too. I'm too old for that. I can only eat like one hard-boiled egg a day. Yeah, no, I can't even look at chocolate.
Well, Margaret, you joined separately.
Hey,
Well, I wanted to see the chats. But,
okay. I got you. Okay.
If it's interference, I'll cut it off. Okay, we don't need no distortion.
No.
Interference,
You should be good. But I'm just gonna remove you as a guest though. So did that do anything to you? Can you still see the chat?
I don't need to check this. You got it. Okay.
All right.
I disconnected.
Good to see Natasha. Always a pleasure.
Hi. All right. Nice. Hi, Natasha. All right. Cool. So, all right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started and hopefully Sima will join us. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Contraband Wagon. If that's where you're viewing from, my name is Will Fullwood, creator of the Contraband Wagon, where I'm changing the conversation on race. And I really wanted to get these two and hopefully three people together to, as you can see, the title of this, which I did change, but it's similar, is sharing notes on the battle for a better world. Because I feel like the people that I've invited here are dead set on creating a better world, and their work reflects that. And I really appreciate that work that everyone's been doing. And I just felt like, sometimes we just need a chance, an opportunity to share what we're doing, where our mindset is, talk about our wins, talk about our frustrations, and just share notes on creating a better world. So that's what we're here to do. And our third guest here, Sima, hopefully she will be joining us soon. I'm just making sure I don't have any messages from her. No. Okay. So, yeah. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves for anyone who doesn't know you? Let's start with Margaret, and then we'll go to Walter.
My bad. I didn't even put the title of my publication on there. Okay. It is what it is. Margaret Williams here. I am the author of the Empowered Leader publication. Okay. I help marginalized leaders stop surviving power systems and start leading with freedom, influence, and authority. Okay. Nice. Like each of us do here. That's why we are here today together.
Word. Okay. And I went ahead and fixed your name. Check that. Check that out.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem. I got you. All right, Walter, go ahead.
Oh, hi everybody. It's so good to be here. I'd rather be writing and rise together. And it's the same sort of deal as we sort through everything that's going on. And just lately I've been doing these morning chats, talking to people, and it's overwhelming. I mean, everything is just so overwhelming, and it's so important to talk through it a little bit, to separate what is the illusion of a problem and what the real problem is, so we are empowered. And I mean, we have to face a lot of hard truths right now. I feel like, and it's hard to do. You don't want to do it because they're ugly things to look at, but they do give you more power, make you more equipped to handle our future. And just kind of navigating, because there's all these illusions and disagreements. And over the last couple of days, there's so much frustration out there, and we all want to be together. We all working for the common cause, and we have to find out ways to understand each other and put aside those illusions of disagreements. And they're all by design too. I mean, that's the other thing. We had to recognize, like, half the entities out in the world there are trying to push us apart. So the more efforts and the more space and grace, as Will says, we can give each other to come together and rise together, the more powerful and we'll be, and the less frustration we'll feel. And we're going to win. We are going to win this. There's no other alternative.
Oh, yeah. And I just want to go off that and say what I was telling them privately before we started the live stream, which is that I appreciate their community building efforts. Margaret and Walter here have been doing incredible community building efforts, and
Thank you.
The live stream that I just did earlier today with Brandon is a result of Margaret bringing me and Brandon together and connecting us on a live stream. And it was impromptu, but we both connected to Margaret, and through Margaret, we were able to connect with each other. And I mean, Walter has done the same kind of work. Not only has he connected me to so many people and guests that I've been able to come on my show and talk about their evolution of race consciousness, but also he's also done a lot of great work interviewing people and giving us insight into what's going on politically, socially, all kinds of different contexts. And I just appreciate both of the insights you guys have done. Margaret, your empowerment and your discussion of leadership, and the way that you kind of help people talk about what inspired them and what moves them to action. I love that. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Sima, why can I not get you in? What is stopping you?
She should be able to, you send her the link in the direct messages, right? So she should be able to look in her direct messages.
No.
Oh, no?
Okay. So if you go to your email, okay? If you go to your email, there should be a link there. And if you click that link, you should just show up. I should be able to see you, but I don't see you. You know what? Let me see if I can. So anyways, I'm gonna reach out to Sima here and see if I can get her in here. But in the meantime, while I'm doing that, Walter, why don't you start a little bit and tell us a little bit about any notes that your recent work has kind of like inspired you. You did a little bit, tell us a little bit, but is there any more that you want to talk about regarding like the work that you've been doing, how you've been feeling about it? What are your successes? What do you think has fallen short, and where you want to go in the fuch with your work and trying to create a better world?
Yeah. Oh boy, there's so much. And it's like, everybody has to recognize we're in such a state of uncertainty right now. It's so hard to predict what's going to happen, and one of the things I've been trying to emphasize is that idea of an academic disagreement, where two people approaching the same problem from different sides. And we can't just force other people to adopt our way because they're seeing different things. And that's been a big one. And just trying to overcome, because I mean, we're indoctrinated in our society, like it's us or them all the time. And the reason is the extreme right is they're not even trying to work for a better humanity, right? So we get this kind of simplistic view of our reality. And so we instantly assume if somebody's not agreeing with us, it must be because they're the enemy. And we've lost sight of nuance, where it's like, Margaret and I have majorly different perspectives on the world. And I learned so much from Margaret. And if I'll listen to what Margaret says and I'll try to implement it in my life, but it's not something I instantly just like can understand, and that's a part, like this evolutionary process of how we create a coalition together and we respect each other. And Will has said it too. You just have to lead with love. That's so important. But in the context right now, too, what we have is just that every day we get more and more of these messages of these child rapists. And, and I know particularly women have always been subjugated and oppressed in our society. And I can understand that anger, especially that women are feeling right now. There's Sima. Good to see you. So we have to navigate that extreme frustration and pressure that we're under right now, and maintain and know our allies, and help each other navigate these assaults. Well, there goes Sima. I was just going to wind up and let her speak, and then she ran up. So we have to navigate those assaults against our psyche and our emotions, and there are people that we can trust, people that, and one of the great things about Will and Margaret, it's just like trying to establish more unity between different communities, diverse communities. It's so hard to do because there's so much mistrust. And I've tried to work on that and try to activate other white people, convert the things I learned into a language white people can understand, which is kind of my job, I feel. And it's just been an ongoing process. So I thank everybody for participating.
Very nice. Thank you for all of that. Sima, welcome. You've made it. Can you hear us?
I made it. I was trying so hard. I said, okay, I know I'm not that much of a doofus.
You figured it out. You're here now, Sima. You're the opposite of a doofus. You're another one of my inspiring guests here today to talk about sharing notes on the battle for a better world. I'm so glad you're here. Guys, Sima and I met because we both create conversations on race. Okay. Sima has been creating conversations on race, and she's been working in DEI for decades, y'all. Over 4 decades.
Wow.
Yeah. So she has a lot of experience in the DEI space, a lot of experience working with people from marginalized communities, and helping businesses and organizations kind of make changes in order to bring more diverse people in to better serve their clients, or whoever they're trying to serve. And raceconvo.com is her website, y'all. So check it out, raceconvo.com. She has tons of conversations on there that she's had with amazing people on the subject of race. And so she actually found me through my conversations, and then I was on her show, and then she was on my show, and now here she is on Substack, joining the crew with Walter and Margaret. Welcome to the group, Sima.
And you got me on Substack. I said, well, if he's on Substack, I have to be on Substack too then.
Yeah. She is on Substack, Natasha. You can join. Search up Sima Lieberman is her name.
My microphone working.
And
is it on? No.
She used to be called Sima the Inclusionist when I first met her, which I love.
I like that.
Yeah. So anyways, Sima, we're talking about sharing notes on the battle for a better world. Walter just gave us his rundown. Would you like to jump in?
Okay. I would like to jump in and tell me so that I sound like I'm somewhat articulate. What is the context of the battle for a better world? Because it's ongoing.
That's right. That's right. And so basically, all I want you to do is talk a little bit about, for you personally, right, with the work that you've been doing, what does it mean to you to be battling for a better world? How have you been manifesting that in recent times? How has it been going? And what's your vision of the future?
Well, I think of it in terms of actually 4 worlds. There's the personal, there's the interpersonal, there's the organizational, or whatever you're into, and then there's the overall environment, community, and the outside world. And when I was younger, and I was very involved I was very involved in the 60s. I've talked about this before. I worked with a white group called the Young Patriots, and we worked with the Black Panthers and the Young Lords. And for me, I was one of those dogmatic people. I wasn't thinking about the personal. I was the kind of person like this. It would be like if somebody said they were depressed, how dare you be depressed? People are fighting for their lives. How dare you? And I wasn't thinking about how important the personal was. So for me, it's looking at who I am, how do I see the world, and how do I treat people? How do I act with people, and what do I do? And that's not enough, though, because some people will say, well, I just read about what's going on in Gaza, and I've decided I'm going to be a better person. Who cares? I mean, the reality is, yes, you have to be a better person, but what does that mean? It means you want to be a better person in a larger context. So for me, it's the personal. How do I treat you? Do I become a screamer, cancel? I was years ago, somebody told me about canceling. They said, don't do that. You have to think about yourself as this is a war. And this was like in like 1970. This is a war. And in a war, you need everybody. And you can't afford, just because somebody makes a mistake, to just throw them away, because you weren't always perfect either. And he said, think about it as if you were, and I've said this so many times, I hope I don't sound like, just the same old story all the time, but it's kind of is the same old story. Think about it as if you're a slave running away from a plantation, or a Jewish person running away from a concentration camp during the Nazis, and you run into people in town. What would you want to do? Would you want to start screaming and yelling at them so they turn you in? Or do you want to be somewhat neutral so they don't turn you in? Or do you want to develop some type of relationship with them so they see you as a person, they understand what's going on, so they hide you out? And I think that that's what we need to look at. I had somebody on my podcast the other day who he had written a book about his neighbor, who was a Black woman who had been very active in the 60s, and they became really good friends. And he told me that the first election, that he was always a lifelong Republican until I think Hillary Clinton. But the point was, he had not had real relationships with any Black people before. But by hearing these stories, getting to know this woman, and being open and being part of a community, he said, he sends me this picture of him, at No King's Day. And he said, yes, and I am one of those ultra left-wing, whatever they call them, left-wing revolutionary terrorists, or whatever it was. And he was joking, but that's how he became, because somebody took the time to talk to him. So I think it's the personal, the interpersonal, the environment, like how do we spread the word, and then overall to the whole world, because it's not enough. I mean, I live in Berkeley, so everybody's like, yeah, I'm, no kings, blah, 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 blah. But you can't just stay in your own neighborhood. So I know I've gone on a long time, but I see Margaret clapping. So hey,
no,
Margaret, you're encouraging my verbosity.
Great, Margaret's so great.
Yeah, Will and Walter know. I could just keep on talking.
Well, right now, you're talking to my heart, and I really appreciated what you had to say there. I agree wholeheartedly. Margaret, it looks like you were enjoying it. Why don't you tell us for yourself about the work that you're doing to help create a better world, and where you see your work going now and in the future?
That's a good question, Will, because my evolution started from the womb, okay? And so from what I'm seeing, as the world turns, okay, I have to evolve as well continually. Now, no longer being in the government system as a 39-year, working for the federal government for 39 years, left a bitter taste in my mouth. So I am the type of person, I am a disruptor, okay? I don't go along with the status quo. I grew up, I was born in 1960s, as Seema talked about. And from that Generation Jones, we were about change. We were about making things happen in positive ways, because our ancestors would be rolling over in their graves right now if they see what the hell was going on in this world today, and say, what the hell are you sitting there doing nothing? We got to get up and we got to do something, okay? And that's where we are today. So during my career, working for the federal government, basically as a affirmative action hire, my role was to educate all of these people, because the federal government, working in construction as a minority, okay, I had to teach people how to treat me, okay? Just because you see the color of my skin, don't think you can underestimate, okay? But they did. They all did. And I had to show them one by one who they were dealing with, okay? You got to show people. I don't tell you nothing. I show you. And so my job and role was a positive role model to show you. You can't go by the color of my skin, okay? Because if you do, you're going to miss out on something beautiful. Some beautiful relationship that we can have. Like I have with Walter, like I have with you, Will, like I have with Brandy, like I have with everyone else. And if you don't fit, if we are like-minded individuals that have the same values and going the same way in life, then we have nothing in common. And so, okay, I tried to teach you a lesson. I tried to bring you into the fold, but you're not ready. So you go over there, and I'm going to continue my mission. We can't let nobody stand in our way, okay? That's
Very
where I'm
nice.
at today.
We can't let nobody
Seema?
turn us around.
Yeah, because I can talk too. So I'm going to pass it over back to Will.
Very nice. I appreciate that so much, especially that last part about shared values, and making sure that we don't kind of waste our time trying to bring people into the fold who explicitly show that they do not share our values. We must be strategic in not allowing those people to enter the community until they can show that they're open to other values. And
I'm sorry. We cannot allow them to penetrate our lives either, because they will take us off our path.
That's right.
We cannot allow that. No, under no circumstances. I'm sorry.
I know you were going to say something to Walter. So sorry, Walter. Hope you don't mind. I agree. And I think that, but it doesn't mean that people can't change, but it takes an ex-hater. There's a group called Life After Hate. They're the ex-haters, and they've turned around. Those are the people who can reach people who are like sort of haters or whatever you want to call it. We're not going to reach those people. We got to reach who we can reach, and they will reach who they can reach.
Precisely. I think that's a really good point. And, that kind of came up in my latest guest on my show. It was Pup Morningstar. You could check that out on my page. We had a really great conversation. He was somebody like you, Walter, who grew up in a small rural town, almost exclusively racialized white people. And he was taught to bully. He was taught to use violence. He was taught to put people down, and he was raised that way and indoctrinated into white supremacy. And ultimately, he told me that, in his teenage years, he had a moment of revelation where he reflected upon the person who he was currently and the person who he was becoming, more importantly for him. He could see the person that he would be in the future, and he didn't like that person. And that was a real shock to his system, right? To think about the person you're going to become and not liking that person. I mean, that's basically, that means you got to rip something out at the root, and he realized that. And from that moment on, he became curious. He started educating himself, and he started transforming. And his story is just really gives me a lot of hope and shows me that, just like you said, Sima, it is possible for people to change. But again, I don't think I would have been necessarily someone who could have catalyzed that change in him, right? While he was fully immersed within that environment. And, not everyone's going to be like him either, who are going to be curious after recognizing that internal dispute, right? So, it's just going to take it's going to take everybody, a whole village,
Just before I forget, let me say this. You made a point. You have to take it out at the root, because if you don't take it out at the root, it's no return.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And
that starts with ourselves. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. That's always good.
Yeah, that's right.
I just wanted to say too, Margaret, what you just said, because my wife often says the same things you were saying. It's like, you don't know who you're messing with, because my wife always gets underestimated. Being from South America, she's just like, nope. And she's got this thing she does. I've never seen any other person, but she'll just observe, and I'll watch her, and she's watching a situation. She'll just be like, and you can just see, it's like my children, I guess, are the same way when they're just like soaking in the information. She's just looking around, letting people talk. All right, taking notes, and then go forward from there. So there's a lot of resistance that is that kind of behavior. It's the resistance is internal, and it's just, you make that decision. I'm going to take notes of what's here. I'm not going to fall into despair, I'm going to use the power that I have and the mechanisms available to me. I'm not going to be frustrated. I'm not going to worry it doesn't happen as fast as I think it should happen, but I'm not stopping. And what Will was saying before too, yeah, my experience was the same as that. And because our family, we just would insult each other. And it's like when you're a kid, you're like, well, that hurts. And then you're like, oh, then you'd make yourself think, oh, this is an expression of love when people say mean things to me. And then I respond with a hateful comment too. And then I had a point in my life. Yeah. And I had a point in my life where it's like, well, I'm driving away all the good people and I'm stuck with all these awful people. So I have to change this. And then it makes all the awful people that are your core group, that everything in the United States tells us that we have to value our venerated traditions. Oh, that nuclear family is always right. You must be wrong if you're objecting to the way they're treating you. So it's like, well, I guess, and it takes a lot of audacity to just say, I guess that whole mechanism is wrong. I guess absolutely everything everybody's saying is wrong. Like I would have so many people, it's like, you need to repair your relationship with your father. You know, he's your father. It's like, you don't know anything about me. You don't know what he did to me. And it's like, what if I said he did this and this and this? Well, and then some of them will just, they don't concede then. They don't ever sit there and say, absolutely, actually, I don't know what I'm talking about. They just persist with that indoctrinated rule. And so it takes a certain amount. I mean, it took me a long time. I was in my 20s. I mean, you're just frustrated because as young people, we're developing into who we're going to be. And you have to grow into your own maturity and your own power. But then hopefully you get to a point where you can spread that and encourage and help other people feel validated. And I think that's where we're at today. That's where we're going.
Nice. Sima?
Yeah, I was going to say, and I have seen some amazing changes. You know, like my life is diversity and creating the world in which I want to live in. And so has been my work. My work has always been, you know, I started doing work in diversity like 35 years ago, maybe almost 35 years ago. And I have seen some major miracles. Now, when I first started, I wasn't probably as kind as I could have been, but in my work and the way that we brought people in, I saw people say, I mean, I had like there was this one white guy in my group. I was training with this other guy who was an African-American guy, my friend, my late friend Gar. And there was a guy in our class, it was almost all white, up like in Idaho or somewhere like that. And most of the time he had his arms crossed, and he would, we heard him make a joke about white power, and we're going, oh my God. And at the end of the class, we go around the room, we said, well, just one word or something that you got from this class. So Gar says, oh God, I wonder what David's going to say. I said, I don't know. And then David says, I learned so much in this class. He said, I learned that I stereotype people and I don't want to do that anymore. He said, and when I go home, I'm going to teach my children not to do that too. Well, Gar and I were like, what? It was so amazing. And even from our conversations, and probably all of us have had people who've listened to our conversations who said, I never knew that before. I never heard that kind of conversation before. So I think that so much, John Blake, who is one of my absolute favorite journalists on CNN, you got to read John Blake. Hey, John, shout out. I'm going to have to tell you about this conversation. But he's their head. He writes about religion and race and politics. And he had written an article saying some of our best friends were former racists. And he talked about some people who changed policy. He talked about Johnson. He talked about RFK, who didn't really get it at all until I think, what was it? Who came? Like, I think it was like James Baldwin. I mean, a whole group of Black people came and sat down with him. And after that, he became like a leader in civil rights. Yeah. So I think that that's also important to know. But then again, you know, I mean, I've seen a lot of people change, but then I mean, I have to give a shout out to this administration and the federal government, because I was doing work, Margaret, in the federal government. I was doing teaching classes on inclusive leadership. And then all of a sudden, one day last year, January 20th, we know what day that was, when somebody got into wherever they are, I don't even want to even, you know, I got the call saying, well, we had to cancel all of our work. You know, we can't do anything related. And like, as you know, Margaret, there were 250 words you couldn't use. You couldn't use the word diversity. You couldn't use the word inclusion. You couldn't use the word, I don't know what. equality, and all of a sudden everything ended. So
Yeah.
I think that's why conversations like this are really
Yeah.
important. So we have to look at, okay, how else can we how else can we make a living, but also how else can we reach people? And and we're continuing. We're not stop. None of us are stopping.
Nope.
Can I ask the question?
Please do.
Who benefited from DEI?
Yeah.
Sima, you're the best person to answer.
Oh, who benefited from? Well, I'm gonna tell you on the big scale, everybody,
Yeah.
every single person, because it was about inclusion. Everybody being included, whether you were tall or short or black or what. But the reality is, the people who actually, if you want to look at benefit from laws related to DEI, I would say white women. I mean, that's what statistically, that's what they say. But everybody did, and I don't equate diversity, equity, inclusion with affirmative action. I think that it's related, but not exactly. So you look at what actually is diversity, equity, inclusion, because these people have no effing idea. I don't know if you're allowed to curse. They have no effing idea what it is. But when you talk about diversity, we're ending diversity. People, somebody wrote, some fool wrote this thing. DEI is dead. Diversity is not dead. If diversity was dead, everybody would be white. Excuse me. There is diversity. Inclusion is not dead, because who the hell wants to work in a place where they feel excluded or live where they feel excluded?
Yeah.
And what's the other one? And diversity, equity. And equity is so that everybody has an opportunity to show what they could do, whether it's at work, whether it's at the community. And when you look at some of the laws that were passed, even a lot of it started like with veterans, because veterans needed curb cuts. A lot of people were in wheelchairs, so they needed the curb cuts. And but then everybody benefited. So when there is diversity, with equity and inclusion, unless you're a hater, because the haters, they're not looking about if they can benefit or not, because they hate. They're white supremacists. They don't want white and a certain kind of white and a certain kind of gender, all of that. Those people aren't going to benefit because they don't want to. They don't want us. They don't want anybody else to benefit. But if you look at what DEI really is, everybody benefits. And how we're going to create the kind of world in which we live in, because I know that, the battle for a better world, and it is a battle right now, because we have, not to get, what is it, apocalyptical, whatever the word is.
Apocalyptic, yeah.
Yeah, that there are forces that are, their idea of a better world is, it's white supremacy. That's their idea of a better world. But our idea of a better world is where there's love, there's kindness, people aren't left out, everybody has a place to live, everybody has food, and it's a battle. It is a battle. They talk about the battle for hearts and minds, and it is a battle for hearts and minds, because we have these people. They don't want everybody to have a place to live. They don't want people to have food, because they think it's taking away from them. Like, now, what do they do? I mean, okay, come on now, really. They're like, we're trying to give money to people who are victims of white genocide. Well, white genocide may be white people committing genocide, but they're looking at white genocide as all the white people in South Africa are all being killed by the black people. Well, white people still own more property in South Africa. And most of the white people that they offered didn't even want to come to the United States. They had a few, but these are probably, I would imagine those people who really didn't have anything, and they thought they were going to get like a better deal. And then they're looking at please report any issues of discrimination against white people.
Yeah, the EEOC put out a memo about that. Equal employment. Wow, why is that escaping me right now? Equal employment opportunity commission. Geez, I don't know why that was escaping me.
White people.
They put out this whole video being like, if you're white and you've been discriminated against at work, please reach out to us. Yeah, and my cousin actually works for them, so I haven't talked to her about that yet. I have to reach out to her and find out, like, hey, what do you think about this?
Well,
but yeah.
Actually, my friend Shane. Oh, go ahead, Sima.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. You have to shut me up. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
because I
Walter, you
love
go.
this conversation. So just
Okay.
shut me up. I don't feel bad. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
Okay, I was just gonna say my friend Shane, and he's I think 25, and so this is another place of comparing diverse perspectives because the everybody gets targeted messages, targeted advertisements, and I was actually talking with Arturo too because he was getting these targeted comments, and a lot of these are these bot comments because Arturo, he's got Cuban ancestry, and he was getting comments. People were sitting there and calling him, the word they were using was bootlicker for voting. It's like your voters are just bootlickers. And I'm just like, well, that's weird. So then I went out and I was getting targeted with these because I've been posting a lot of things about we have a right to ask for hand recounts. And so I was getting all these attacks for like, we're not the election. So I was just comparing like people from different backgrounds, the kind of targeted ads that they're getting from whatever nefarious oligarch sources promoting whatever narrative. But you just kind of start connecting the dots of the various ways they're working to make us divided and fight against each other. So it's kind of neat to sit and compare notes. So unless you go over to your friend's house and watch TV, you'll never see the ads that they're seeing. I mean, it never used to be like that. We used to have all the same ads. Now they have targeted ads. So social
that's
engineering.
really interesting. Yeah, it's just more ways of dividing us, right? Finding ways to make sure that we can't connect. And even, this Substack space, it's already been corrupted, like they've introduced gambling into it, and a lot of people are abandoning the platform because of that. And I'm going to abandon it as well. But
where are you going?
Well, so this is a good time to talk about.
You got me into Substack. Hold up now.
Listen, I'm sorry. Okay. I brought you in here. It's still a great platform. Look at this conversation we're able to create and have. But like ultimately, we need to realize that anything that's created by these ultra wealthy people and controlled by them is ultimately going to be utilized as a weapon against us. And so, that kind of brings me to what I see the future of the contraband wagon to be for my part. Like I told you guys earlier, I'm creating conversations on race, but I never actually intended for these conversations to be created and this community to be built online. I never intended that because I knew when I was starting out, I was like, I need to create something that cannot be so easily sabotaged, something that cannot be so easily controlled, something that cannot be so easily turned into a divisive tool, right? And there's something that I noticed when I started having these conversations. I started with the meetup group, guys. So I was meeting people in person from my local community. That's how I started. I did not start online. And I was building that up. What happened was COVID, right? COVID is the sole reason why I went online. And I probably never would have, to be honest, if COVID didn't strike. So now, after kind of building myself up online during COVID and continuing to meet all these amazing people, and I don't want to deny the value of technology or what it's brought and what it's shown me about connecting people's hearts across oceans even, and the power that it has. Like, it has this power. I'm going to utilize it as much as I possibly can for the future. However, there's something about getting people in person, live and in person, and having the conversation, having them see you and having you be there in front of them. That just somehow makes a difference in terms of getting people to be more curious, to be more open, and actually to have it more of an imprint on them, the conversation, I mean. And so creating those events is really where the future of my work is going to be going. And that's why I continue to reach out to people I meet here on Substack, people who are in my social circle, professionally and personally. And I'm like, hey, get me somewhere. Get me in. I don't care, wherever it is. Is it your local coffee shop that is willing to host a conversation? Is it your school affinity group who wants me to come in as a speaker? Is it your church community who is trying to do an anti-racism, something with anti-racism, but they don't know what to do? Bring me in, And I've got people all over the country right now trying to work on that and help partnering with me that, so I can start having these communications out loud and in person, where I can then tell people, hey, you step out of here and you walk back into the world, right? So you had this transformational experience where we deconditioned each other from white supremacy, where we built community, where you were able to examine your values and maybe even solidify them within your own self. And then you're going to walk outside transformed into an untransformed world. And you need to be prepared for what all the backlash you're going to receive and whatnot. But you also have to remember now you have support, a community of support that you can reach out to you, that you can get that empowerment that Walter was seeking when he joined the convo today. And that's what I want to create, is little pockets of transformation that can then create people who can go out into the world and make change in their own social circles. I do think it's much harder to do that online, because most people who are experiencing this online, they may, I find that they often can translate it to other people online, but not offline, oftentimes, because online is just different than offline. It's just a different way of being with each other. And I just think that everyone needs to try to take what they experience in these conversations and bring them out there. And ultimately, I am going to do some online seminars as well. That's part of my plans for the future. However, the online seminars are actually a way for me to get people to take action in person in their own lives. They're literally only meant to be a catalyst for that purpose. And so, yeah, for me, that's the work that I'm doing and I'm building right now. I'm really excited about it. I've got other people enrolled and excited about it as well. And that group of people keeps expanding. The last person I spoke to is this guy, Chris Alfonso. He does philosophical dialectic education and just incredible work that he's done. And I saw him, because I saw him on a YouTube channel with Amanda Seales. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Amanda Seales.
Yeah.
Yep. So he was a guest on her show, and I reached out to him. He was like, "Oh, I think it sounds like we're doing the same work." We had a Zoom call. He's coming on the show soon, and he's gonna help connect me to Amanda Seales too. So maybe I could get her on the show. And so it just breadcrumb by breadcrumb, we're following each other, we're building this community, and then I'm going to get my whole actual person and body into these communities, speaking to people face to face, giving them a chance to decondition themselves and experience all the emotions, grief, fear, shame, everything they need to experience in order to open themselves up to a possibility of a new and better world. So that's me.
You are really inspiring me, because I always, you and I have talked about that too. Because I love doing things in person. Because hey, I was around before the internet, so we did not have a choice. We didn't even have group phone calls in those. You know what I'm saying? But and you just gave me an idea, because I just noticed the other day that here where I live, there's several different coffee shops and places like that are having community discussions on different topics. So I got to talk to you about that, about how to approach people. But because who knows the importance of getting people together in person? The right. Did you read the book? I would encourage you to read the book Mind Fucked. It's Mind F*SCKED. It was about the first Trump administration. And it was a guy, I think it was a gay guy. He wrote this book from Canada because he had been involved in this, in the data scraping. And then I think he had like a guilty conscience. They were just young people involved like in data scraping. And what could we do? What could we do? How could we, without thinking about what they were doing. And they scraped all this data like from Facebook and everywhere else. And but long story short, what they did was then they started creating fake meetups. And the meetups were about, they would send, like they had all these white guys, Facebooks, and you have to read the book. And they sent out these ads, and the ads were like fake news. It said something like 90% of jobs are going to Black people. White men are losing their jobs at 80%, whatever it was. And then if you're upset about this, come to this meetup. And it was like fake meetups with fake groups. And after a while, though, what ended up happening was they didn't have to do fake meetups. People were doing it on their own. And so, and that's one way that really helped Trump get elected, doing all of that. And what you just said reminded me of that that what you're talking about doing is because you understand the importance of face to face and in person, and getting people into that, I don't know what you would call it, like into that whole vibe of love.
I
And
call it
change.
resonance, Sima. I call it resonance. There is a resonance that happens when you get people together that doesn't really occur often outside of that. It's a human thing, you know?
Because like they say, you have a lot of Riz, and you can get that Riz to create some resonance.
Yes. Riz and Resonance. I'm gonna call that the name of my show. Margaret, go ahead.
Love it. I just want to say I commend you all, but I will not be putting myself out front and center like that. You know, I remember when Martin Luther King was stabbed. I'm not going to put myself out there like that, because then you're opening yourself up for more attacks physically and things like that. And so you have to have security and safety in place, because as many people as there to support you, there's going to be people there that want to take you down as well. So you need to take these things in consideration and plan accordingly.
That's such a good point, Margaret. Yeah, go ahead, Walter.
Oh, I was just going to say too, you should talk to libraries too. I've done that selling books in the past. Libraries are really open to this. Libraries will even pay you. And actually, we should continue with our book project. We could. Oh no, we lost Margaret. We lost Margaret. We'll get there. We'll get there, Will. But yeah, I mean, if we do our book project, then it's like we're selling this book. You'll have something like for people to be involved in, and then libraries would be more open to it. But one thing I want to ask too is, this is part of the reason why I've been reaching out to all these candidates, because I know our political candidates are out. So my idea has been, rather than do like, because as Margaret says, maybe you don't want to directly go out into public, but if I can talk to these political candidates, kind of plant the seed for a lot of these talking points, because there's so many talking points. I've been trying to get them to say, like, you know, forget taxing the billionaires, just stop the billionaire welfare. If you take that out it's like, stop giving free taxpayer dollars to billionaires. Why should we have to fund it every time their businesses fail? Democrats should be saying this. That's a kind of argument that works really well in a red area. You can take basically every single Republican argument, flip it around so it becomes a progressive argument very easily. And it's just empowering our Democratic, because they're so encapsulated where they don't even ever talk to working class people. But maybe I can take another step, and maybe a couple of these I can be like, hey, you want me to come on tour with you? I can get the crowd warmed up for you. Let me talk to them for 5 minutes. They know I can speak pretty well, or endlessly. if they'll let me do it, I'll just stay there. That would
be. I mean, I could totally see you in that role, and that would be incredible.
I would love that. Yeah.
But there's one thing I want to like say right now, and I think it's important based on what everyone just said right now, which is, guys, everyone has a role to play. Everyone doesn't need to be front and center. Everyone doesn't need to do that. Listen, I decided, it took me months to reflect upon whether that's what I wanted to do or not. I never had any intention of putting myself front and center. And like literally everything I've ever done is put myself front and center. You know, I started out as a child musician performing, but putting myself front and center. Then I became a teacher, putting myself front and center in a classroom, you know, and panel discussions. And then I became a lawyer, trying to put myself front and center in a courtroom, you know, and now here I am hosting my own show, put myself front and center and talking about going on tour all around the country, putting myself on stage. Right. But I'll tell you guys, like, that was never what I wanted. Okay. It's truly, none of this is something that I ever like said, you know, this is my heart's desire that I'm chasing. You know, what I was doing is living my values, and it consistently led me to putting myself front and center. And it was no different with anti-racism. You know, when it came to anti-racism, I had to decide for myself, like, how much am I willing to risk, right? And like, what am I willing to do in order to create a better world, you know, and to deal a critical blow to white supremacy? And ultimately, the answer for me personally was, I'm willing to give my life. I'm willing to forego my physical safety. Like, I don't expect anyone else to make that choice. You know, that is a very personal choice. And I don't even think it's reasonable that anyone expects anyone to make that choice. I don't even think my choice is reasonable, to be honest. Okay. But my choice is because that's what my values tell me that I need to do. That's what my heart tells me that I need to do. And I listen to that. And I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to put my physical safety at risk. And to be honest, guys, I predict that I will be destroyed physically, that I will probably be killed, because I am relentless, and I am going to, it's going to work what I do. And I'm going to turn myself into a target, and I will be targeted. And I already have, I posted that picture on Substack of me next to a monkey that someone put out on Twitter before I even, became this big. Like, it doesn't take much for white supremacists to hate you, all you got to do is even a glimmer or a glimpse of fighting back, right? And that's all it takes. So if I'm putting myself on front of a stage, yeah, you better be right that I'm putting my physical safety at risk. But you know what? I am going to have security, and you know what? I'm going to have many plans to deal with that, and I even have a plan for my demise. So anyone who comes at me, they better be ready. They better be ready to fight me now and in the future.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, you become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
That's right.
All of these things have to be taken into consideration. And at the same time, it's a little bit bigger than that. I mean, I'm much older than all of you. So, well, maybe not much older, but let me say this. With age become wisdom and experience. But, I mean, like, I go with the people that I work with, we had people who were killed. I mean, we had a lot, numerous people, but it doesn't mean that that's what's going to necessarily happen. I spent a lot of my time when I was younger, and I didn't even work at, we were in the revolution, so to speak. I mean, that was our lives. And then, and some of the regrets I have, not that I have regrets, but I thought that this was going to be it. I didn't think I was going to, I thought, and for other things, I was a drug addict too. I didn't think I was going to live that long. And then, and here I am. So you could know that you have to take these things into consideration, but you also have to prepare for the fact that you might live.
Exactly. You might live, you might win. Exactly.
You might live to be 90 years old. And who else is being targeted on, because I'm addicted to scrolling. I wish I wasn't, but Walter, you might know about some of this stuff, like on some of the scrolls on YouTube and Facebook. You have a lot of these white guys. A lot of them were vets, and a lot of them are big dudes, and they're from the South, and they are so outspoken. And one of them was just on yesterday. All of a sudden I can't think. I think it's James Capola. He's also a fitness person, and he's very outspoken. And somebody said to him something about his kids and blah, blah, blah. How do you think how will you feel when your kids die shot by 9mm, not with 9mm slugs in them? So yeah, I mean, these things are real. I think why it's important that we do have to all stick together and be aware of, at the same time, still prepare for what do I want to be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And hey, you might live to be 3,000 years old.
Yeah. I'll say it's easier to stand up now than it was when I was 6 and they were coming at me, those fuckers. And it's like, they're not doing it now that I'm a full grown man anymore. And we've talked about it before. Well, there's no protection and cowering from a bully. And a lot of these, and we shouldn't be afraid of them. There is nothing to them. A stiff wind will blow them over. Most of these jerks. So yeah, coming up and showing it, being noisy, Margaret, and you always inspire me. But yeah, if we step forward, they back right down. I guarantee that. Yeah. I mean, you have to take your precedence, but that's what will happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, we know that their bark is worse than their bite. We know that, and when necessary, we'll call them out on it.
100%.
I try not to embarrass people, but if I have to go there, I will.
I think embarrassment's good. I would debate that. I would like to debate that.
Walter's a big proponent of shaming.
Well, I should talk about that because like I said, I've come from that rural community, and when you stand up, it's like I always get from the silver spoon Democrats. It's like, well, we have to understand their point of view. It's like, fuck no. If somebody's raping a child, you don't go be like, gee, what's your point of view? Why do you think it's a You stop it is what we have to do. And that's the problem. It's like, because we've been pushed into this mindset where we've surrendered our ability to act and to speak out at something we know is wrong. Like, we're supposed to be silent all the time. They pressure us to do that. And humiliation, like if somebody would come and pull the president's pants down, boom, that'd be the end of him, you know?
They find nothing. They pull his pants down and find nothing.
Oh,
yeah.
wait a minute.
Nobody wants to see that.
South
Sorry for
Park.
that mental image. Yeah.
I just want to say they say he wear diapers, so nobody wants to see that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that's very controversial in these parts. I am not anti-billionaire. I wouldn't mind being a billionaire because after losing so, hey, I'm available to be hired right now. After this administration cut off a lot of the, but I'm not anti-billionaire. I'm anti what a lot of the billionaires are doing with how they got the money and what they're doing with the money, because we have some people, like I talk about our billionaires, like we have this guy running for governor. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. Yeah, his name is Tom Steyer, and he gives billions of money to different social justice causes, and he's been very active in social justice. And the other billionaire, I'll talk about our billionaire, George Soros. I have admired George Soros ever since I first heard of George Soros. But we know who hates George Soros. Those people, they hate because they don't want people who are billionaires to be able to be giving them money and helping to fight them. So I'm not against billionaires because I'm against what people are doing right now in order to maintain their wealth and to not give a crap about anybody else, which is what we're seeing.
But ultimately, Sima, that's how all of them get their wealth. Like all of them, including George Soros. The way that billionaires make their wealth, there has to be a certain level of not caring about the impacts of what they're doing. George Soros made his billions off of shorting, off of a catastrophe in South America. There was a catastrophe and he was able to profit off of it, right? And even though he didn't directly hurt people, and he tried to do good with his money, right? He profited off of chaos. I'm
not here to support Billy or anything like that. I don't want to get into discussion about how people have got the money or anything like that. But I'm just saying, it's much bigger than that to me. It's much bigger because there are all these people who support we know who's running a lot of the show here. Those people, and then there's the people who follow those people. And it's how they and how they use their money to control the media, and they don't care. It is like that is it is apocalyptic because they don't care about. They don't see people as human beings.
Yeah, right. We're at the target of this economic war, and just us living in poverty makes us easy to control. So there is like the case of, I call it just performative charity, where they give enough. And I was comparing it to just love bombing, like just enough so you don't recognize how evil they are. It's like, oh, and here's something. But yeah, it's like where are all the ones out there sponsoring my Substack newsletter? None of them are doing. They can't even do that much.
I'm from the Bronx. There's nothing noble about poverty. I used to think that there's nothing, because you have a lot of wealthy people, especially in the LGBT community, a lot of women that used to be from very wealthy backgrounds, but they were so intent on trying to look poor. And I said, who is going to pay for the flyers? Who's going to pay for the events? We need that money. Somebody's got to be able to pay for a lot of these things. So there's nothing, not that my family was so poor, but sometimes we didn't have any heat or hot water sometimes because, they didn't fix the boilers. Hey, nothing noble about that. Don't want it. I would prefer to fly first class, and I'll take you with me.
Well, I just want everybody to fly first class. That's kind of the way
I said, I'll take you.
Every single person. And there's enough money for it too. That's the worst of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we could all be comfortable.
Yeah, we definitely could all be comfortable. I still stand on what I said about billionaires. Jason, you wrote, not all billionaires are evil. My friend Ashar Aziz became a billionaire right before Dr. Dre, and he is a good man. Listen, I am not trying to
Yeah.
say that billionaires can't be good men or women. Okay.
Well,
That is,
I'm not seeing any of the chats here. Where do you see it?
I don't know. I'm in
need
a
a separate
I have a
link,
separate window here,
Sima,
but
yeah.
but guys,
Oh,
yeah,
I
that's
see it.
not what I mean. I'm not talking about these people as good or bad people. Okay. What I'm saying is the system is set up in a way whereby you absolutely cannot become a billionaire without somehow feeding into evil. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but it is the reality of becoming a billionaire. And it's not a judgment call that I'm trying to make. In order to get to that level of wealth, somehow, some way you have fed into evil. And listen, and sometimes it's it's not about hate,
Yes.
it's not about love, it's not about, good or bad or anything like that. It's just the way the system operates. And so I'm not like down on billionaires or anything. I just, like you, Sima, want them to use their money. And like you have said, Walter and Margaret, I'm sure you would agree. I want them to use their money for good and to support creating a better world. Yeah, Margaret, go ahead. You've been wanting to say something. Go ahead.
Why am I not
Well, I
seeing-
worked for the government 39 years, and the government is supposed to protect the citizens. However, we have to sacrifice the few to save the many. Okay? There's no way around it. The same thing for these people that got their billions. They got their billions by being smart. Okay? They made necessary cuts. They did things that they necessarily did not necessarily want to do. But when you have a business, you have to figure out what your bottom line is, and get the return on your investment. You have to lay people off. You have to do the hard work. You have to make these tough decisions. Any of us having a business, we have to do the same thing. Okay. So we have to take these things in consideration. When we start criticizing somebody else's methods, well, we don't know what they had to go through to get all of these things. So we need to, you know,
No, you're
look at
right. No,
that.
Margaret, you're totally right. And like I am considering that when I'm creating what I'm creating, right? Because I am creating a for-profit business. What I'm going to be doing is not going to be nonprofit, it will be for profit. And
Oh,
so ultimately, am I going to have to end up laying someone out for firing them? Almost definitely,
Yeah.
right? Am I going to
maybe
end
not.
up like I'm going to probably end up doing a lot of things that like I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm going to do it in accordance with my values. And so
Yeah.
even if I do end up laying someone off, or even if I do end up, like transforming someone's life, I'm going to make sure that I'm there to support them, whether it's
Yeah.
financially, whether it's in some other way. I'm not going to leave anyone hung out to dry. And that's what a lot of these big time wealthy people end up having to do. They leave people in situations where they're
Yeah.
completely left out to dry. I will never do that, no matter how big I get, no matter what. And so and like, listen, man,
Well,
yeah, go
oh,
ahead, Walter. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we shouldn't make assumptions about how billionaires got their money either, because most of them stand against transparency. They're not out there saying, well, here's a complete financial record of my whole life, because they want to hide the fact that they got billions of dollars handed to them from the government. And Will and I have talked about this before too. There's that class of people that prints up the money and then just laughs at us because it dominates the rest of our life. And then we somehow have to pay them for printing up the money that is worthless, and we have to chase after. Like, money doesn't exist, everybody. Money's a lie, and it's like nobody earned that shit because it doesn't exist, right? So they funnel it to themselves and use it as an excuse to torture us, and then justify by saying, well, I made all these cuts. But I've had a business too. I had a business. I never got a bailout. I didn't get $1 billion from the government. I didn't get my PPP loans. I didn't get the subsidies. I didn't get the inflated, contracts. I didn't get any of that. I did offer healthcare coverage to my employees. When we eventually, when I got out of the business, it was net zero. There was no money left over. Now, if I had paid the people less, and if I hadn't offered them healthcare, I would have come away with that with money. But I'm not, like Will says, I'm not going to screw people over. And I defy anybody out there to prove to me transparently every dollar that they earned, how absolutely none of it came from screwing somebody over. I just don't believe that. And so I think that's the thing. If we move back to a system of integrity, it'll be better.
Money is a control mechanism in our society. And it actually can be something that we utilize for our benefit to create a better world, right? Like, so ultimately, my financial system that I'm going to utilize in order to get people to pay for what is going to be deconditioning people from white supremacy. People have been asking me recently, how are you going to get people to pay? How are you going to make money? And because I'm starting to get to that point where I'm talking to people about my ideas, right? And they're interested, but they're like, you're saying you're going to do a for-profit business. It's supposed to be about creating conversations. How are you going to make money, right? And that's what they want to know. So I've seen the model. The reason why I decided to act so aggressively in doing this now is because I finally saw a model that I believe can work financially. That model simply involves utilizing the power of love, you could say. Okay. Follow me here. All right. Follow me here.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So we give people an experience, a transformational experience, whereby they enter into our environment, they get transformed in a way where their imagination expands, their ability to see what's possible expands, their understanding of themselves and the world around them changes. And then they leave here transformed, right? But they're transformed during that event. Let's assume that I can create that experience, okay? A transformative experience. Then let's think about the nature of that transformation, right? They are opening themselves up to something wonderful that we've all discovered: the power of love, the power of trust, the power of community, the power of relationships, right? And ultimately, I plan to put everyone who experiences that and pays for it to a question, which is, don't you want this for the people that you love in your life? And if the answer is yes, then how can they get it? By paying for it. It's actually a very simple answer that really there's no other answer. Okay. And so if the experience has the impact that it's supposed to have, and the question is put to them, that is a very powerful thing that then is inside your mind that, hey, I had this transformative experience. That experience is sticking with me. It's sticking with me probably forever, right? Because people are going to grow from there. They're going to learn from there. They're going to transform more from there. And the question, do you want this for the people in your life that you love? It's a definitive yes. Why? Because you love those people. Because you love those people. And there's only one way to get it. There's only one way to get it. They've got to pay. They've got to pay. Is it worth it? Yes, it's going to be a yes from those people who experienced it. I've seen this model work in other contexts. I've seen multi-million-dollar companies utilizing it. It does work when you create the real transformational experience for people. They are willing to pay. They are willing to invest. But right now we have nothing where without some kind of a transactional experience, right? Something that people can tangibly say, oh, I got this, right? Then they don't pay. So what are we going to give them? We're going to give them an experience. And we're going to give them such a transformational experience that they're willing to pay, not just for themselves, but for other people to get it. And that is a model that works.
Yeah. And money is what you say. I guess you could say the currency for getting things done. And making money doesn't mean that you have to like exploit people, because there are people that don't exploit people. And that there are people who do exploit people. And we see those people because they could care less what happens to anybody.
Yeah,
that's right.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, as a certified executive leadership coach, that unless people pay for the services, they're not going to appreciate it. Okay. When you have to pay for it, you have to put in the work, and then that's where your transformation comes from. So you're right.
Nice. And I like that you said that, because paying for it, right, it then gives you a certain level of buy-in that allows an opening for you to transform as well.
I think, go ahead, Sima.
Well, I was going to say that's totally going to be contrary to almost everything that I've been saying. Because people would always say that if you don't pay for it, but there have been times in my life when I haven't been able to afford to pay for things. And people have gifted me attending seminars or free coaching. And for me, that has made so much of a difference. Because when I think, well, if I'm paying for it and I decide not to do it, it's my money. I don't have to show up, whatever. But if somebody's giving me something, I'm like, oh, they gave that to me. I have to make the most of it. And I know it sounds contrary.
I don't think it sounds contrary because they paid for it, Sima. They paid for it, and it still created that same dynamic for you because you felt a responsibility then, right?
Felt a responsibility, yeah.
Right. So, however that manifests, I think is fine. Whether it's you or someone else. Go ahead, Walter.
Well, I was going to say, I think we have paid for it is the thing, and we have to overcome that indoctrination in the United States because we pay so much in our taxes and in our health insurance and everything, and it's just that everybody's like, well. And for some reason, people can't just demand that the government provide basic services so that you're allowed to live. And I think that's what Will was saying too. You have that awakening experience because it's the white supremacy mindset where they set rules that they never intend to live by. And they have this predatory healthcare system because they want to ensure that, some groups don't get healthcare treatment at all because it's the philosophy of genocide. And so once continuing having these discussions, and that's the whole idea. It's like you keep coming back. You'll change our minds so that we can change our communities, so we can demand a political representation. We can have a government that actually works for us, that actually attends to our needs. I mean, this is a 50 or 100-year objective, like we keep saying. It'd be nice just to get the pressure off a little bit in the next elections or in the primaries, but as a long-term thing, I mean, we just have to encourage our kids and not raise our kids with the old traditional mentality of spare the rod and spoil the child. Give your child a hug instead. Try that. See how they behave if you give your child a hug. Maybe all the behavior problems will go away. And then we see that on the large scale. We spend $1 trillion on the military. We spend $170 billion on ICE. We spend however much it is on the police force. I read that would be the third largest military in the world. The only thing the United States thinks is to beat people over the head. Let's try just giving them what they need to survive using the money that we paid them.
What's the name of that book? Is that book Give People Money? Did you read that book?
I've heard of that book.
And it's about the fact that when you give people money to get things done, they do it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was. It was about they did an experiment. I can't remember where they people who were like essentially homeless money, and most of them got places to live. Yeah. Most of them got jobs. So I don't know. It's just I forgot about that, and you just reminded me of that.
Look at
like I said, poverty's not noble, people. No, it's not. Don't be proud. Don't be proud because you're poor. No.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Look at humanity, Habitat of Humanity. That was Carter, President Carter, who's deceased now. He started that program. But for people like me, when you say free, there's no such thing. There's always strings attached. Okay. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, what am I going to owe you later? Okay, because then they come up with all these programs because, I worked for the Corps of Engineers and they call us in when the levees broke, and then they have, Red Cross out there and you have all these people giving away money. But what's the long-term plan? You going to give me a loan, a low interest loan to reestablish my life. But if I don't have no money to begin with, how the hell am I going to pay the loan off?
Yep.
True. Okay. Yeah. And you got people. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, people have no comprehension how much free money is given to billionaires, though. It's just sort of like no strings attached, nothing. They get just shoveling them billions, like 95% of all the wealth of this country is just handed over to these asshole billionaires. They go out and rape kids, and then they turn around and tell us that there's something wrong with us. I mean, that's the situation we're in.
It's so
There's
sick.
plenty of money there.
It's just twisted and sick, and it's really a good point, Margaret, that you were making there about money. Money is a difficult part of this revolution. It's going to be a very difficult part because ultimately capitalism, the system of capitalism, is a big part of why we're in this situation to begin with. And so, money is like it's necessary for our movement, but it has a long history of being utilized for oppression. It has a long history of being utilized for dehumanization and for violence. And our country has embraced all of that. As you were saying, Walter, we've invested heavily in violence. And so we're surprised when our environment is full of violence, right? But like, we've invested in it.
Let me ask you something. When you talk about the gun laws, okay, we know the Republicans is never going to disarm their arms, and I really don't blame them because I'm the type of person. If I had a gun and you come to my door with some crap, I would probably use it. You know, so
You
that's why I
got
don't
that
have
right.
one.
That's
Okay.
right.
Listen, I think
So
people should protect themselves 100%.
Yeah,
Like, I
believe in
mean,
self-protect. I believe in
I'll be
self-defense.
protecting myself as well. I'm not going to use guns because I'm totally against guns. Like, personally, you know, like guns are a weapon to kill, and I don't plan to kill anyone. You know, even if I'm in a situation where I need to protect myself, I'll protect myself without killing.
You could use
jump
poison
to-
darts. You could use poison darts. I think about that.
But we shouldn't jump again. Don't
Sure
jump to the
should.
argument. Don't jump to the argument of taking guns away because that's the right-wing argument. The National
Yeah, I don't want to
Firearms
take them
Act-
away.
Listen, the
Well, some
National
people-
Firearms
some
Act,
people.
after the St. Valentine's Day massacre, they passed the National Firearms Act to restrict your right. You still have the right to own a machine gun, like an automatic weapon. And this was like 17. The National Firearms Act, you can still own one of those guns. It just has to be regulated. You have to have the permit. So there is plenty of gun restrictions we can do that doesn't infringe on gun ownership, because there has not been a mass shooting with a machine gun since the St. Valentine's Day massacre. It's been 90, 100 years now. It's a very effective. I've used this argument against gun rights people before, and they get really angry at me. But it's just like, yeah, you don't have to take the guns away. Follow the same model as the National Firearms Act. It's very, very effective. And they knew the last person to update it was Ronald Reagan. For a while, the current guy, he made the bump stocks illegal. That turns semi-automatic into effectively an automatic. And he made it illegal, and then he repealed that.
Filed down the sear pin.
Yeah, but you don't have to repeal. You don't have to take guns away. All you have to do is regulate them, like we regulate bombs and alcohol and cars and everything else in society.
But you know what? But could I say something too about that? That one of the issues is that we are a gun society, which is, when I say that, it's a gun mentality society of how do people solve problems? You know, we have a mental health issue. We have that in this country, people solve problems with fighting, guns. I mean, all of that.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens to them, you know, and I think that that's part of the problem, that it was a different mindset. I mean, I lived in Oregon a long time ago, and everybody had guns. People didn't go around shooting each other, but the way that the society has come is that I feel disrespected, I'm going to kill you. I want this, I'm going to kill you. I don't like what the teacher said, I'm going to kill you. And because that's how the culture of this society, if the culture was different, because the culture is different, people wouldn't own as many guns. If the culture was different, people wouldn't think to just go out and just start shooting people.
Yeah.
I mean, because for real, I mean, there have been times when I've been so angry and I say, thank God I don't have a gun with me at this very moment. But, and then there's some people I think, you know, I'll say, God, why are they still alive? They should be unalive at this point. But I just think that we have a problem. It's more than mental health. It's just a way of might is right. I mean, the way that they're like, well, we don't like what Iran's doing, we're going to go bomb them. We don't like them. What kind of deficit mindset do you need to have to think that every way you solve problems is by killing people?
Yeah.
You kill somebody, you grow 20 more murders.
Yeah. That's right.
Like, what's up with that?
We do. We get that instead of healthcare. Yeah. And another thing that's important to recognize is that the white supremacy tactics constantly change. They got their think tanks. They figure out what things they can leverage. And you see the grievance. I mean, once they started to develop these like the Armalite, the AR-15 and things like that, the whole argument of pitching the Second Amendment as like a protection against a tyrannical government is nonsense, because the tyrannical government is going to roll over you like the fucking tide. They're going to come to your house and murder you. And it's always been a lie. This idea, we get these more and more, and they're totally happy with kids getting shot in schools because Republicans hate schools. I mean, they're not changing anything because they want that to happen. You know, they allow the kids to get murdered. And we've been seeing this, and it's the same group of people that, oh, surprise, they've been raping kids that they've been trafficking for the last however many years. We don't even know. But yeah, they've been seeing these advancements in technology and what guns can do. They've been leveraging it. They've got their think tanks, the same people that wrote Project 2025. There's all this stuff happening in the shadows. And then you talk about it, and people are like, oh, you're being a conspiracy theorist. I'm more likely to get dismissed. Even if there are 3 school shootings that day, well, that's a problem. That's a problem. Oh, you're making too much of it, they'll say. I don't think I am. Have you ever been there? Have you ever seen a dead child? It's sort of like, that's what Will says too, just like the lack of integrity, the lack of compassion. And it's just, how do we get through to that? How do we get through? I don't know.
It's a lack of compassion. And also, you know, when I was growing up, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but Will, you're like 38, right? Something like that.
42, but yeah, close.
I keep on forgetting. But you know, when you were growing up, probably when I was growing up, there wasn't people got shot. I mean, I was engaged to somebody who was murdered. I had friends who were shot, but there were people who were involved in, not that they shouldn't have been shot, of course, but it wasn't as much people getting shot for GP, for general principle, you know, or general practice. And so if somebody was shot, it was a big deal. Everybody knew. I mean, you know, but we had like different things in those days. But nowadays, you know, you hear about people being shot. You go, oh, so-and-so got shot. Oh, gee, that's too bad. Oh, yeah, my cousin got shot yesterday. It's become so every day. Even the grief is different.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that is really a problem. The mindset, it's that same mindset of exploitation at the same time, that life is not that important.
Yeah.
So we could fire you because I want to make $80,000 million. I only made $40,000 million last year. So your life is expendable. And I think that's a problem. And I think that one of the things that we're all really fighting for, battle for a better world, is so that people are not expendable, that people have value, and that we care about people.
For me, the way that I would put it is I want people to acknowledge one way or the other whether they value life or not. People need to investigate that. Okay. Like, people have been coasting by without investigating their own values. I'm not going to allow it any longer. Margaret, go ahead.
Okay, 637,000 Black women lost their job last year. I don't know how many will lose their jobs this year because of these cuts, because of using AI and all these automated systems. So what are we supposed to do? Okay, how are we supposed to pick up the pieces? How are we supposed to feed our families? How are we supposed to fund our retirement and our children's education?
Yeah.
These are the questions, man. And like, this is why we need to build community so we can support these people who are losing their jobs, who have sacrificed so much to get in these positions, you know, who have worked so hard, given so much, you know, and ultimately that's part of what I want to do. You know, this is why I'm running a for-profit business too, because I do plan to use the profits in order to do this kind of community support work. It has to be, you know, like it has to be a part of the work. And I just feel like a lot of people who are doing this work in the nonprofit space or otherwise are finding a lot of barriers being put up for them to do that. And I feel that if I go for profit, that I can get around a lot of those barriers that I've heard other people talk about. But I think that people don't do it because they don't see a model for how you can have a profitable business by doing something like creating an anti-racism movement, right? Or anti-patriarchal movement, anti-white supremacist movement. But it can work, guys. I'm telling you. And it's something that I think a lot of people will just have to see to believe, you know. I've always been a pioneer and on the forefront of a lot of stuff. And I'm just grateful to the people who are supporting me financially right now and who believe that I can make this come to fruition. So thank y'all.
Well, I was just going to say there's a lot. I mean, there's headwinds right now because the enemy has control of the purse strings and they're using it to steal. I mean, we're seeing the theft from the future of America every single day. So there's just no money left over for kindness, and there never has been. We've talked about this before, Will, where there's always endless money for people like Joe Rogan or Charlie Kirk. They get millions and millions of dollars to walk around and preach hate. There's no money for decent people. So the first step, though, I mean, we have to look at this as a bigger plan. Like the first step is just surviving this year, surviving until we try to claw back a little bit of more power. And then after that, if we can get decent people in the government, where they can start funding these programs, like the DEI programs, like where people that are actually qualified can get the jobs, so that we don't have midair collisions because you got a bunch of drunken white dudes who lived with their mom until yesterday trying to land the planes. So it's
the problem is they don't want to pay us for our expertise and our knowledge. Yes. And that's the reason why I retired, because I'll be damned if you're going to disrespect me. Okay?
Correct.
That's not going to happen.
And it hurts everybody. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, did you ever think that being kind and having empathy was going to be considered an act of resistance?
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is that, people say, well, yeah, like the ICE people. Well, they don't hurt. They're kind to humans. They're kind to humans. Like the Nazis were kind to humans, to people who they considered humans.
Yeah.
But they don't consider anybody who is not white or has an accent or has darker skin. They're not human. So we don't consider people like, it's like the Germans did that when they made Jews into rats, and they're doing the same thing. So if you don't consider somebody a human, you're not going to have empathy, but you're going to think of yourself, I'm so empathetic. I love my children. Yeah. I'm sure Nazis love their children too. ICE love their children, whatever they consider love. But when it's just a regular 2-month-old child.
Oh no, we lost her. Shoot.
She'll be back. She's on fire. Okay.
Yeah.
She's back.
Sorry, we lost you.
Fire. But when it's a 2-month-old child, that's not white. You're not consider that they don't consider them a human being, so it's okay to pull them away from their family. Or if somebody who is not white gets killed, that they're not a human being to these people.
I think white supremacists have a contorted version of what they think love is, and there's all these like the torture they'll subject their own kids to, thinking, and they justify it. They say, well, it was the spare the rod, spoil the child thing. So in their mind, they think they're being good, but all they do is abuse children. That's all they do. The whole entire right-wing philosophy is child abuse. That's the only thing it is. White supremacy. I don't think there's anything redeemable of it. Having lived through that, being grown up in that kind of situation, and that's why I get kind of hot when people are like, well, you need to understand their point of view. It's like, I lived that for my whole life until I fucking escaped, and nobody came to help me. Where are the people coming to help? Let's go help these kids so that they're not being abused by these white supremacist monsters who they're willing to kill.
Monsters.
Yeah, they're bad.
It was my own family, that turned against me. I was the black sheep, and I was ostracized. So I made a point that I am going to help other marginalized individuals to reach their goals, because nobody was there for me. I got no free lunch, I had to pay all the way, so I am going to help those individuals, if they are willing. If not, then you have to move out of the way and let us do our job,
And I have the exact same, I have the same mindset, Margaret, because ultimately, a young man who I've known since birth, he's a child of a really good friend of mine and brother. And I saw his child recently, and his child is now 14 years old. And he says, Mr. Will, why do you do what you do? Which no one really asked me, like, why I do it. He said, why do you do what you do? Why do you have these conversations? Why do you have your podcast? I said, you know why? It's because I want to create a better world for you. That's the reason why. I cannot live with myself leaving this current world to the next generations. I cannot.
There might not be another generation.
Yeah.
If I have anything to do with it, there will be. Okay. I'm not, despite, all my talk about giving my life and this and that, guys, I don't intend to be silenced easily. I intend to use every ounce of my power in order to make sure that I can create a better world. And I want all those kids to know that I'm fighting for them,
That
and
saves them. Just knowing that you're out there helping is enough for a kid to get through. Just a single kind of word. But the stuff that's coming out right now too, of all these atrocities, the things that have been going on, and people, I think everybody's it's the recalibration. I think people are starting to understand better than ever. It's still going to take them a while, but we're all in free fall right now because the mechanism's coming down. And yeah, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we got to.
Yeah, we know none of us do, but what we do know, guys, is that all of us here are working in tandem in order to create a better world. Okay, that is something that is valuable. Okay, and while we may just be on some billionaire's platform right now doing a live stream or whatever, but we have 125 people watching us have this conversation right now.
Wow.
Having their own conversation in the chat. Okay.
How come I'm not seeing, like, when we do Substack, isn't this is different than the regular Substack, isn't it? Because I'm not seeing conversation.
This is Restream. I was introduced to this by Nick Pero, who does Sick of This Shit podcast, and I'm actually going to be on his show literally tomorrow.
We'll have to get Sim on there. You'll have to come on with me and Nick sometime. Sim.
Okay, I'll come on. I'll go. Hey, I'll go anywhere. I'm invited.
Yeah. And this is just a really nice setup for me to easily like get you all in here, right? It's just you click of a thing, right, and get in here, and I can stream on my Twitch channel and Substack at the same time. So I'm talking to my Twitch chat here, and I got my Substack chat over here. But Sima, don't be so hard on yourself, because like it took me so long in order to figure out what the heck I was doing. So I need
a class. Walter just sent a link.
Click on that link. You should be able to see the live
stream. All need to teach me a class, because like Marcus, you all have it so together with the Substack.
It just seems
that way. I'm saying I don't know if you have it so together in your life. I'm just saying you have so together on the Substack.
Yeah, that's it too. Yeah. Oh, the tech stuff gets me every time. It seems like too.
I have to say, Will, I discovered you. I made the first. I made the first outreach. I found Will on Twitter.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much.
To be with all of to be with the rest of you.
Yeah, I'm just glad I discovered all of you, and I'm glad that we were able to come together for this discussion. Guys, the reason why I created this is because all of these people here are working to create a better world. We have to support each other who are doing that work. All right. Please support Margaret. Subscribe to her Substack. All right. Please support Walter and the work he's doing, bringing people together. Subscribe to his Substack. Okay. And please support Sima and the work that she's doing. Subscribe to her here on Substack. And also, if you feel like it, you can, I pay every month for Sima to support the conversations she's having on race, and I try to support as many people. Like, I don't even have a job, y'all. Okay. I don't even have a job.
Wow.
And I'm still giving tons of money away all the time. If I'm able to do it, anyone's able to do it. Okay. And how do I do it? Is I sacrifice other things. All right. It's the way that it works. I'm investing in the things that I believe in and the people that I believe in. Go ahead, Sima.
No, I'm frozen. I don't see. I clicked on that link.
You're not frozen. You're not frozen for us.
Oh no! Turn that link off. Sorry, that might have been too confusing.
How do I shut that link down?
We can still see you.
Well, we're about to end. Don't worry about it. But listen, I want to give you guys a last chance to get one last word in. Let's go, Walter, Sima, Margaret. You bring us home. So Walter.
All right. Oh, Sima, it's always so wonderful to see you. I appreciate your thoughts, and there's so many people I love talking to, and you're one of them. I need more time. And the same thing is true, Margaret. I always love to see you in chat. So we'll just keep it rolling. We'll find spaces. And if I happen to see you guys in these little talks I'm doing, just don't hesitate to say, hey, invite me in, and I'll chat with you then if we can spontaneously do it. And thanks, Will, for setting this up. It's been wonderful.
Of course.
I didn't know you could do that. Okay, so you could just say invite me. Well, I want to say thank you so much. I mean, okay, you guys just stimulate me so much. And I'm I spent a lot of time, in my office by myself. So I don't get to actually talk to like brilliant people like you. So you could, but like I said, you could always tell me, hey, calm down now. But
no, we need your energy. We need your talkativeness. I like it.
You're great.
But because hey, you just make my day, this has just made my day. And now I'm like real enthusiastic about the next moment.
Yes.
Since when I woke up this morning, I'm like, yeah, too late to go to the gym. I don't do anything. Okay. But now y'all got me, feeling like really optimistic.
Good. I'm so glad. And Margaret, What about you?
I am truly honored and I am blessed to be here today and to have this relationship with Will and Walter. And now Seema. Seema, I'm gonna be in contact with you, okay? You got fire, okay? So me and you are like-minded too. So we all have to come to figure out how to come together, okay?
I'm down.
For the greater good, okay? And I love everybody that showed up here today. And I'm grateful to you, each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. I'm also grateful, guys, so much for my guests today and for everybody in the audience. Thank you all for giving your time to us and for sharing this space with us. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Okay. And we'd love to have, if anybody out there, okay, if you're hearing this conversation, you feel like you have something you want to add, we'll bring you in. Okay. Just DM me. I'll help set it up. Okay. I'm setting up these conversations all the time, creating them in my own social circle, though, is also something I'm doing. Okay. And I encourage you guys to do it as well. I'll continue to write notes about these conversations I create in reality. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't go a lot of places, but that's also informative, right? So come be part of the conversation, be part of the community, support us, and we love you guys. Be well, take care. So long, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.